So here we go. Here's the first 9 verses, and I've given them in large type and with a bit of space between the lines. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a forward slash after every new piece of standalone information. A forward slash after every piece. And if you want to get a bit of paper now and do this, or you want to open your Bible, go and do that, look up Joshua. You can stop this thing by pressing some pause button somewhere and just stop this. Get yourself one of these, or get yourself a page in the Bible where you can scribble. But I want you to be able to scribble. Or when you look at this next time, have the scribble bit of paper there. And so stop the thing now, and I'll come back and tell you how to scribble. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to show you what I've done now. Because in Joshua chapter 1, if you're listening and watching this with a Bible, then I've put an a forward slash after the word Lord, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord. That's the first piece of standalone information. Now it might take you a while. There's no total scientific right or wrong about this, but just think of a standalone piece of information, because the Bible is full of pieces of standalone information, and every one is important. If you want to understand anything in the Bible, understand all the information around that, the context. And so to understand the context, we're just going to notice everything by putting a forward slash. So after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, forward slash. The Lord said to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' aide, forward slash. Moses, my servant, is dead, forward slash. Now then, you and all these people. Now you might want to stop this now and then go and do your own thing, and you can turn it on again and check out your answers. I don't have the right answers. Sometimes I get it right, just occasionally, but you can check out and you can compare. I'll give you some of the reasons why in a moment, and the best thing I can do is to say this is every piece of standalone information. So if you put a line somewhere, make sure that piece of information can stand on its own. It doesn't need something else to make sense of it. Okay? Moses, the servant of the Lord, died. That's a standalone. You could say that and nothing more. That's a standalone piece of information. The Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' aide. Right? There might be 2 pieces of information in there, but they really go together in my view, and so the Lord spoke to this guy, Joshua. That's what the Lord spoke to him. It wasn't he remembered something that Moses had said. The Lord spoke afresh to him. This is a new piece of information. So if you want to stop now, you can go on and do that, and then we can come back together and I'll give mine and you can talk about it, and then I won't know. You can argue, you can tell me that I'm stupid, you can say I'm terribly wrong, you can do everything you like, but you can have a go at doing it yourself and get the idea of it. So I'm just going to go through now. Maybe you stopped. Maybe you started again. Who knows what? I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. That's the wonderful thing about this. I've got no control. Moses said is dead, forward slash. Now then, you and all these people get ready to cross the river Jordan, forward slash. Into the land I'm about to give them to the Israelites, forward slash. This is NIV, by the way. You probably need to have the same version to do this. That's why if you have a group, have the same version. We're doing a thing on Monday nights from 8 till 9, and we got into a lot of strife when we all had different versions and we're trying to do this. So make sure when you print this out and you're doing it in a group that you all have the same version, only because that will allow you to talk about the information as it's presented. Now, I'm not going to do anything about what version is the best or whatever. I couldn't care less about that at the moment. So I'm going to go through. I will give you every place where you set your foot, forward slash, as I promised Moses, forward slash. Your territory will extend from the desert to the Lebanon, forward slash, and from the great river Euphrates, all the Hittite country, to the Mediterranean Sea on the west, forward slash. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life, forward slash. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you, forward slash. I will never leave you or forsake you, forward slash. Be strong, forward slash, and courageous, forward slash, because you will lead these people to inherit the land, forward slash. I swore to their ancestors to give them, forward slash. Be strong and very courageous, forward slash. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you, forward slash. Do not turn from it to the right or left, forward slash. that you may be successful wherever you go, / keep this book of the law always on your lips, / meditate it on it day and night, / so that you may be careful to do everything written in it, / then you will be prosperous and successful, / have not I commanded you, / be strong, and courageous, / do not be afraid, / do not be discouraged, / for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go, / Okay, so there is a, just let me find you there. Yep, okay, there you are. Now here is my piece of paper, and I've slashed my way from the beginning to the end. And now I'm going to do one more thing before I start noticing anything. We're just getting information. We're not interpreting, we're just noticing information. That's what we're doing. That's really important, because you cannot believe how easy it is for you to interpret everything by what you've already known, and by your own ignorance and your own, stubbornness and all that sort of stuff. Or maybe you're not like that, and all of this is irrelevant because you hear from God perfectly. The next thing that I want you to do, and you can talk about that. I think I've got 28 different. I've got 28 pieces of information there. 28 pieces of information. Now you might get more or less, and we're not here to argue about that. We're just here to give reasons why we do that. And I've said what we're going to talk about is not an opinion here. We're going to, as such, we're going to talk about why it is a piece of standalone information, or not. Or if two pieces of things need to go together, because some information is binary. It's 2 bits, and you can't understand the one without the other, and you can't understand the other without the one. So the next thing you're going to do is circle in each space. You're going to circle the dominant word, the main word, the word that makes this thing, gives this thing direction and focus. Now I'm not going to do all of these, but here it is up on the screen. I'm making it a bit more messy. See, there you go. You can, there you go. You can see that there. I've circled a word, and I'm going to tell you what word I've circled, and I'm going to tell you why I've circled these words. And all we're doing is noticing information. We're not interpreting anything. We're just noticing. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, I've put after, because this is, something has happened here. Moses has died, and this is subsequent to that. So the after is the dominant thing. If it was said Moses is dead, well, you probably wouldn't know it's after. But this, nothing happened when Moses died with Joshua. Nothing happened before Moses died with Joshua. Joshua may not have ever heard from God personally. But this happened after. So Moses died, all that was finished, who knows where he was, and then after that God spoke to Joshua. Isn't that wonderful? God decided to take an initiative and speak to Joshua. So I'm going to put, the second thing I'm going to put there is, the Lord said to Joshua the son of Nun. I just put said to, or Joshua, because the Lord said to this bloke, not to anybody else, this bloke. This was something that only Joshua heard from heaven, and so it was important, and God didn't think that everybody should hear this. It wasn't important. He didn't have a trumpet. He didn't have a loudspeaker system. He just spoke to Joshua, so Joshua knew that it was God. And so I just go down through, circling all those words, and there I have them, and I'm not going to go through them now because I haven't got time. But I just circle that to make sure that I understand what is being said here and why it's being said. I understand the meaning. Then I've got my pieces of summary information. There they are. Where did I see? I'll turn you on again. Whoop, there we are. I've just written these down as a sentence. Make sure you write a sentence and not a heading. Make sure you simply describe what happened. Don't interpret what happened. Okay? So I'm just going to say these things to you just to give you an example. Number 1, this happened following the death of Moses. Number 2, God spoke to Joshua. Number 3, God told Joshua Moses was dead. Well, didn't Moses already knew that? Why did God say that? There's a why about this. We might discover why God said Moses is dead. If God came and said to me, Moses is dead, I'd say, oh, why? Why does God tell me that? I already know that. Why does God tell me something I already know? Well, it might be because it's not just the announcement of the fact. It's actually describing something that's going on. Oh dear, please, let us have Moses. Let's do everything the way Moses used to do it. Let's remember how Moses did it. because we'll just follow Moses and we'll just do things the same way. He said, no, Moses was never in the promised land. Moses was only in Egypt and the wilderness. Now you need to do things differently. You haven't been this way before. It's going to say that later on. So that's why I noticed that God says Moses is dead, and I discover something. The people are to get ready to cross the Jordan, God says. God says he will give them the land. God says this was the same promise as he made to Moses. God said this is a defined portion of land. He says here to here and there to there. So I go through all that and I get 28 different sentences. Just one for each of those deals. And I'm not trying to interpret anything yet, but now I'm going to go for an interpretation. Now here's my next bunch of squiggles on my page where I've written down what it is that each statement says, because now I'm noticing some things. And so I noticed that in the first number of these statements, God is wanting to make sure that Joshua knows that Moses is dead, because he's saying, forget about Moses. Don't just try and have the Moses Remembrance Day. Now don't try and just remember everything Moses did. That's important. If you're going to conquer a land, it's important not to just do what they did, when they were conquering the desert. Conquering the land is different to conquering the desert. You need to hear from God, etc. Then it says, there is a specified, I'm going to give you something, but it's from here to here. It's not for you to decide. It's for me to decide and you to go and take. But you can't take outside of there and outside of there. This is the land. So this is a specific promise. And what God promises, he authorizes. He doesn't authorize beyond the promise. That's important to understand. If Wayne Ben happens to be watching. So the third lot of things here I've said, number 3 is about God's part. God is promising something to Joshua. I've noticed this. God says, I'm going to be there, I'm going to be with you, nobody's going to stand against you. This is God. This is God saying this. This is the God who can give authority, who can give power, who can do things supernaturally. And so God says to Moses, to Joshua, I'm going to do so. I'm going to give you. Nobody's going to withstand you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to forsake you. And then the fourth thing that happens here is that Joshua has a part, because he says to Joshua, you need to be strong and courageous to lead, and you need to be strong and courageous to obey the word. That's really important. He needs strength and courage to lead. Now, if you're told that you need strength and courage to lead, that's because there's going to be times when you're going to be run out of strength. And you're going to have to be strong. You have to decide to be strong. There's going to be times when you're going to be fearful, and you have to decide to set aside fear in order to lead. In order to lead. And so God's inheritance, taking God's inheritance, leaders need to lead with strength, that is, don't just give way, and with courage, that is, don't get fearful. And I've been a leader for a while, and I reckon both those things I can think of many times where I didn't think I had the strength and I got scared. So these are really good words. And then the second thing is, he said, be strong and courageous, and make sure you do whatever's in the Word of God. Make sure you live by the revelation of the Word of God. Make sure you keep on talking about it, because if you talk about it, you'll do it. If you don't talk about it, you won't do it. This is like footy. Talk to each other on the field. If you talk to each other, you'll connect with each other. If you don't talk to each other, you won't connect with each other, and you won't get over the try line. But I don't know whether you know anything about football up in North Queensland, and certainly not in Victoria. So here's this way of taking hold of the Scriptures. Now, I've just done that really quickly. Set aside Moses, know what your inheritance is, know what God has promised, and know what you've got to do. Now, I might go and think, what has God given me? What has he promised to me? Well, I need to exercise leadership first over my own life and then over other things as well. So I need to do it like this. So you get from the specific example to the universal principle. And the universal principle here is, these are principles of taking territory from the enemy. Taking territory that belongs to God and establishing God's rule. That is as modern as today. Anyway, have a go and have a listen to this again or give me a call, you can phone me on 040753 040753. I can't even remember what my phone number is, but you can email me on brian@gracecanberra.com.au. 0407. I can't even remember, so I'm having a moment. Anyway, God bless you, and I'll talk to you next time.